Let's get started with our first news. Alex Pereira has sent a strong warning to Nurmagomedov ahead of their highly anticipated UFC 320 rematch. Pereira revealed that he has been carefully studying the footage from their first fight, breaking down every exchange, and spotting mistakes that he is now fixing in camp. He made it clear that the small training clips he shares online don't come close to showing the full picture, stressing that what fans see is only about 5% of what he is really working on. That statement alone shows how locked in and focused Pereira is for this fight. Some critics, however, tried to stir up the old narrative again, pointing at Pereira's traveling and his side projects, suggesting that his focus might be slipping. But Pereira shut that talk down quickly. He explained that every move he has made has been calculated. His last trip took place 7 weeks before fight night, and by then he had already mapped out a full 6-week training camp. There were no breaks and no distractions. According to him, it was a carefully planned schedule that allowed him to train hard in Brazil for strength and conditioning before shifting back seamlessly into his fight camp. Pereira emphasized that nothing about his preparation has been left to chance. He is not just putting in the work, he is doing it with intention. Every session, every adjustment, and every day of his camp has been built to correct the mistakes of the first fight and to sharpen his overall game. The way he described his preparation makes it clear that he feels stronger, smarter, and more dangerous than ever. With UFC 320 just around the corner, Pereira insists that he is fully locked in. He is motivated not only by the lessons he learned in that first fight, but also by the chance to prove that fans have only seen a fraction of what he can really bring into the octagon. He is carrying the mindset of a man who refuses to be underestimated again. He has turned criticism into fuel, doubts into focus, and lessons into weapons. For Pereira, this rematch is not just about redemption. It is about showing the world a new level of his power, his discipline, and his championship mentality. Before moving to the next news, we have one quick request for you. We're constantly working on improving our content to earn your love and support. That's why we'd truly appreciate it if you could take just a moment to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Move on to another news. Ilia has once again made headlines, not just for what he is doing inside the octagon, but for his outspoken views outside of it. While most athletes avoid controversial political topics, Ilia and Merab have never shied away from speaking their minds. Both have openly criticized Putin and even Stalin multiple times, refusing to stay silent when it comes to issues that hit close to home. This isn't new for them, but the way Ilia spoke recently has drawn even more attention. During his appearance on the PBD podcast, Ilia went directly at Russia and its government, calling out the way they treat people from Chechnya and Dagestan. He claimed they are being used as cannon fodder in wars, and said bluntly that the Russian government doesn't care about them at all. His words were sharp, passionate, and deeply personal. He described what he saw back in 2008, when he was living in Georgia and witnessed firsthand what Russian forces were doing to his people. His experience left scars, and he didn't hold back in explaining why he feels the way he does. Ilia repeated several times that he is not talking about regular people. He made it clear that his anger is directed at the politicians and leaders who make these decisions. According to him, the government never sends actual Russians to the front lines when conflicts start. Instead, they send Chechens, Dagestanis, and others from minority regions. He said you'll rarely see ethnic Russians fighting in these wars. Instead, those who are forced to represent Russia are the very people the government doesn't value, treating them as expendable. His statement was powerful, and it resonated strongly with fans who share his perspective. Meanwhile, this discussion has also connected to his relationship with Khamzat. The two fighters have always respected each other, but recently things became complicated. In a recent interview, Khamzat spoke about the Russia-Georgia situation, and his comments struck a nerve with many Georgians. For Ilia, who lived through the 2008 conflict, hearing those words left a sting. Fans picked up on it immediately, and the topic has been buzzing ever since. Despite the political storm, both Ilia and Khamzat have huge fights coming up. Ilia is expected to face Paddy Pimblett in early 2026, a matchup that has been building for a while and one that fans are eager to see. At the same time, Khamzat is lined up for a massive title defense, likely against either Nassourdine Imavov or RDR in the same year. Both men are at the top of the sport and their careers are on the rise, but the tension around their political views adds another layer to their stories. Ilia's words on the podcast showed that he is not afraid to speak up, no matter how controversial the topic may be. He spoke with emotion, repeating that Russians, in his eyes, are dangerous people, not the everyday citizens but the politicians and those in power who push conflicts forward. His passion, His directness, and his refusal to soften his stance made it one of the most impactful interviews he has given yet. For Ilia, this is not just about fighting inside the cage, it's about standing up for his people and voicing truths that many are too afraid to say out loud. Move on to another news. Khamzat has once again shaken up the MMA world, this time not just with his dominant performance inside the cage, but with his message to the entire community. Leading up to UFC 319, plenty of analysts and fans predicted that Du Plessis would be the man to finally hand Khamzat his first loss. Many believed that the South African's durability and pressure would allow him to weather the storm early and take over in the later rounds. Despite Khamzat entering as a clear favorite on the betting lines, there was still a wave of doubt surrounding him, and those voices only grew louder as fight night approached. But when the cage door closed, Khamzat left zero doubt. His wrestling, his pressure, and his relentless pace carried him to a completely one-sided victory. He didn't just beat Du Plessis, he dominated nearly every second of the fight. He scored 12 takedowns, controlled the action from start to finish, and outstruck Du Plessis by a staggering margin of 529 to 45. This wasn't just a win, it was a statement. After the fight, Khamzat turned his attention to the critics. He posted a video highlighting predictions from big names like Israel Adesanya, Mighty Mouse Johnson, Alexander Volkanovski Bisping, and Chael Sonnen, all of whom doubted him in some way. Those clips, as Khamzat pointed out, did not age well. It was his way of reminding the MMA community that while many were busy questioning his cardio, his focus, and his ability to handle adversity, he was preparing to silence them the only way he knows how, through sheer dominance. Adding more fuel to the fire, Khamzat also dropped a comment that stirred up plenty of conversation. Responding to backlash over his monkey's remark, he clarified that he was not referring to black men. Instead, he explained that he was specifically calling out the people featured in the prediction video, the ones who doubted him most. Still, the comment sparked debate and showed once again that Khamzat is never afraid of controversy. What cannot be debated, however, is his performance. UFC 319 proved that Khamzat is on another level. The way he dismantled Du Plessis, the way he controlled the fight, and the way he turned pre-fight criticism into motivation speaks volumes about who he is as a fighter. He has made it clear that he hears every word said about him, he remembers it, and then he uses it as fuel to dominate. Now, as the new middleweight champion, Khamzat has called out the MMA community directly. His message is simple: doubt me at your own risk, because when the lights are on, I will make you eat your words. Move on to another news. Merab has been showered with praise in recent months, and it's easy to see why. He hasn't lost a fight since 2018. He's taken out a lineup of top bantamweights, and earlier this year he finally began to receive the respect many fans and analysts felt was long overdue. The turning point came when he handed Umar Nurmagomedov his first professional loss, becoming the only man to do so, and then followed it up by submitting Sean O'Malley in their summer rematch. That victory solidified his spot at the very top of the division, and now he sits ranked number 3 on the UFC pound-for-pound list. Up next, Merab is scheduled to face Corey Sandhagen at UFC 320 on October 4th. Despite his rise to superstardom, he insists that nothing about his mindset has changed. While speaking with MMA Junkie, he made it clear that he refuses to get comfortable, saying every fight in the UFC is important, whether it's for a belt or not. He explained that even in his early days, from his very first fight in the promotion to now, his motivation and goals have remained the same. Each fight is treated with the same seriousness, the same intensity, and the same hunger to win. He admitted, however, that becoming champion brings new challenges. Popularity comes with distractions, more fans, more opportunities, more responsibilities, and more demands on his time. Between his family, friends, coaches, teammates, and neighbors, Merab explained that managing everything can be tough, but instead of letting it affect him negatively, he's working hard to balance it all, staying disciplined and fully locked into his training camp. Some critics point out that many former champions have made similar statements in the past, only to eventually slip into comatose and suffer setbacks. But Merab seems determined not to let that happen. He has heard the criticism throughout his career, particularly the notion that he is not a finisher, and he knows fans will always demand more. Far from ignoring it, he appears eager to use that criticism as fuel, aiming to silence doubters with every performance. As he prepares for Sandhagen, Merab also revealed another big goal for 2025. He wants to fight 4 times this year. He's focused on October 4th first, but if he gets through Corey, he hopes to make a quick turnaround and face Petr Yan before the year ends. In his view, Yan remains one of the most deserving contenders in the bantamweight division. and Merab wants to test himself against him as soon as possible. For now, all eyes are on UFC 320. Merab insists this will not be an easy fight. He knows Sandhagen brings a unique style, dangerous striking, and endless cardio, but he also believes his relentless pace, his wrestling, and his mindset will once again prove to be too much. Fueled by discipline, hungry to prove more, and unwilling to rest on his achievements, Merab is preparing to show the world why he is one of the most dangerous fighters in the game today. Move on to another news. Islam Makhachev has made his stance clear on the ongoing Israel-Palestine conflict, voicing strong support for the people of Palestine. The former UFC lightweight champion recently criticized Israel, accusing the country of committing atrocities against an unarmed population. Speaking during a virtual press conference, Makhachev addressed a crowd in Istanbul and all those around the world who care about the lives of Palestinians and the residents of Gaza. He emphasized that his message was not coming from him as an athlete or a champion, but as a simple person who cannot remain silent. Makhachev described what has been happening as nothing short of genocide, accusing Zionists of committing acts of terrorism in front of the entire world. He said it is impossible to stay quiet while witnessing these events unfold, stressing that the situation has gone on for 2 years and that silence only allows further destruction. His passionate words added him to the growing list of fighters who are openly showing solidarity with Palestine. He is not alone. Belal Muhammad, a former welterweight champion, has long been a vocal supporter of Palestine, consistently speaking out on the issue. Recently, current lightweight champion Ilia also voiced similar sentiments, making it clear that several of the sport's most prominent figures are united on this matter. Outside of politics, Makhachev's career continues to thrive. He remains undefeated in the UFC since 2018, racking up an impressive 15 straight wins. His run as lightweight champion included 4 title defenses, the most in the history of the division. After dominating at 155 pounds, he decided to move up to welterweight earlier this year, seeking to add to his legacy in a new weight class. Now Makhachev is preparing for one of the biggest challenges of his career. On November 22nd at Madison Square Garden in New York, he is set to face JDM for the welterweight title at UFC 322. It's a massive opportunity for him to become a 2-division champion, but his recent comments show that his heart and focus extend far beyond the octagon. For Makhachev, fighting for justice outside the cage is just as important as fighting for legacy inside it. Move on to another news. Daniel Cormier has weighed in on one of the hottest debates in MMA right now, whether or not Jon Jones should be allowed to fight at the upcoming White House card. According to Cormier, he believes Dana White should let him fight. Jon has made it very clear in recent weeks that he wants this opportunity. He's talked about it publicly, even appearing at the Grammys recently, where on the red carpet he spoke about being back in testing and ready to go for the White House event. But while Jon seems more than eager, Dana has looked more stern and unwilling than ever to give in. Cormier pointed out that this is the firmest stance Dana has taken toward Jon in years. He compared it to the time Dana canceled Jon's fight against Chael Sonnen and declared that Jones would never headline again. Back then, Dana eventually backed off. This time, however, it looks like he may not budge. Still, Cormier doesn't agree with the idea of shutting Jon out. In his eyes, if Jon Jones wants to fight, you let him fight. He explained that mixed martial arts is a global sport, beloved worldwide, with fighters from every corner of the planet. But when the stage is the White House, there's a different kind of pressure. Cormier emphasized that you want Americans winning fights on that card. Imagine the UFC setting up on the White House lawn, under the spotlight of the entire nation, and the American fighters lose across the board. That's not the kind of image the promotion or the fans want to see. He even used the upcoming Conor vs. Michael Chandler fight as an example. When the opening betting line drops, Chandler will be a biggie underdog, even though Conor hasn't fought in years. The perception will still be that Conor has the advantage, which means an American on that stage could very easily take another loss. That's why, according to Cormier, having Jon Jones, an American legend, fighting and representing the country in that setting is the smart move. Cormier added that the UFC doesn't have to blindly give Jon everything he wants. He suggested building stipulations into his contract that would make it very costly if Jon doesn't follow through. That way the promotion gets security, Jon gets his opportunity, and the event gets the star power it desperately needs. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the MMA world, after suffering a recent TKO loss to Diego Lopez, Jean Silva is already calling for a new challenge. Speaking with Ag Fight, Silva admitted that Lopez was sinister inside the cage and capitalized on every mistake. Silva promised that while he may stay quiet for now, his path will soon cross with Yair Rodriguez, and he is aiming for a December clash. At the same time, Alex Pereira continues his preparations for his own massive showdown, showing once again that MMA never slows down. For now, the debate over Jon Jones and the White House card rages on, but Cormier has made his stance clear: if Jon wants to fight, the UFC should let him fight.